Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chortlecast. I'm one of your hosts for tonight, Jake, and with me, as always, he's the Stream King. He's the Far Cry guy. He's the man who may cry devil, but tonight he's crying about KeighleyCon 2022.
I'm
Steven, what's up,
crying
bud?
about it. I'm crying about
I
it.
don't know,
If there's
Steven.
anything I'm crying about, it's Capcom and the top number 3 anime betrayals of all time, which happened to in the share screen you're sending me. By the way, it's just a black screen. It's just
You know what,
all black.
Steven? You're all black, all right? And I love you more for it.
I'm gonna go back to my survey.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chortlecast, the official podcast of Chortle Games. We talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We got a great show for you tonight. I also meant to make a thumbnail, Steven, and I didn't get to that either. Oh well, here we are. We're talking all about. I was really confused how to word this. Steven has called this. We're giving a review of KeighleyCon or Keigh3.
KeighleyCon, K-Con, Keigh3. Keigh3 is what the public has decided to call this, which I got to give it to him. That's better than KeighleyCon.
Maybe. We're basically going to talk about this past week, which has essentially been what we would normally call E3's, like the E3 week. All right. A lot of big game announcements, a lot of stuff happening. So we're going to kind of go over that. We're not going to go over everything because there were a lot of game shows. But we've basically pulled a list of maybe 20 games, give or take, that either spoke to me and Steven or one or the other, one of us at least. So we're going to kind of chat over some of those. We'll have gameplay playing. So if you're watching live on YouTube, you can see those. Or if you are listening later and want to go back and watch, you can see that as well. Speaking of being live, though, what's up, Vortex? What's up, Austin? Yes, we have a new look. I started to incorporate some of the new logo stuff. Did not get around in time to making a new podcast intro, although I do have new music that's going to be in the podcast intro, so that's exciting. We are keeping the outro music because the outro music is probably the best music I've found that could possibly be used for the channel, so that's not going anywhere. But just a lot of animations I had to do, and I just did not get to them. Did not have time to make it happen. So anyway, those are incoming very soon. But anyway, without further ado, let's talk about the not E3 that we've been going through and dealing with here. So dealing with. I don't know. So Steven, I've lost my list of all the games that there were. I need to pull back up my not all the games, but all the. I just had a list of all the streams,
all the conferences. I can tell you what they were. Hold on, my camera stopped. How's that? Cool.
I'm still seeing you, so you're good.
Yeah. I can tell you what they were. It was Summer Games Fest, Future Game Show, Tribeca Games, the Devolver Digital, Xbox Showcase, PC Game Show, Capcom.
There you go.
And IGN, but we don't care about that show. Literally nothing happened. It was so bad.
It was
so bad that God sent a tornado to my town, part of the woods, so that I could come up with an excuse to not have to watch the rest of it.
It's funny that you say that because I was just sitting here thinking, I feel like we're missing one, and it was that one. So anyway,
it was literally nothing. It was Aliens Fireteam Elite got a campaign expansion for August. That was the only thing I remember, and I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, it was not the best. So anyway, okay. So do we want to just start with Summer Game Fest then? Is that the first?
I think that's wise.
So that was one we actually did reactions to. We watched the whole show. So I do kind of want to gather just overall review of that event. And I'll go first to kind of give you an idea of kind of what I'm looking for. As an event overall, I was very disappointed. This is, Jeff Keighley's trying to, we made several jokes about it during the stream. We've talked about it before. It feels like Jeff is trying to replace E3. Yeah, usurp the throne. And he's in a way actively trying to be the new E3, which again, if someone can pull it together to where we get kind of an E3 experience like we had 4 or 5 years ago, I don't care who it is as long as we have it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, but if this was the year for him to show up and show why he should be it, and wow, did he bomb that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
the production value was great. I did not think it was too ad heavy. There was that one thing from The Rock, which was just pointless, but
That was the worst thing I've ever seen.
that was probably the most egregious of anything. But even that, like, I'm not super upset about. But just the game announcements were just not. They just weren't
Yeah.
there. And it was a pretty long show, too, right? I think it did
Yeah.
end up going 2 hours. So I just don't know.
It was just the stuff they announced was not like they didn't really give us enough to really warrant caring about it.
Yeah.
The stuff that they talked about, not all encompassing, but a lot of the stuff they talked about that we got new information for, it felt like we weren't really given any new information. It was just, hey, remember this thing exists.
Yeah.
2023.
Which and to Keighl's, credit, he did say before the show, like, hey, temper your expectations. This is mostly going to be announced, whatever. But even still, like, this
He
is
also waited a really long time to say that.
He did.
You could have said that way earlier than less than 24 hours before the show started.
I'm personally disappointed and upset for him, because if this is your chance to come out and really shine, it just didn't happen. Yeah. So anyway, any games from Summer Game Fest you want to call out and talk about, Steven? Or if you'd like me to go first, I happen to have, I think, one of the only games that I'm going to talk about from this one pulled up. Okay, let me go back to studio mode here. All right. So this, let this ad play, and then I'll make the transition. This is American Arcadia. It was a world premiere at Summer Game Fest, but it was basically this weird. It's going to be a side scroller when it's all said and done. It's a 2D, I guess, 2.5D, I guess.
It's kind of a hybrid. I guess I'd call it like 2.5D.
Yeah,
I think that's what they call games like that. But it's also not just restricted to that.
Yes,
it's kind of different. Like it looked cool visually, but I don't know what's got you interested in this one.
I really like the art style on it. It's kind of got this clunky or chunky kind of almost claymation look to it. And just the vibe, I like this like 70s feel that they've got going,
like retro futuristic,
future. Yeah, I made the joke. I was like, okay, they have drones, but they still are using the big box computers, or like the box monitors, that we had. But anyway, it's like there's some sort of mystery going on. Like these people that they're showing in the game are living in like a dome that's like a game show almost. And there's this one man. God, we laughed about it. I forgot his name though. Trevor. Trevor's trying to escape or whatever. And so you're trying to escape the loop. There's somebody on the outside trying to help you. It just seems like it's going to be a cool mystery and kind of a fun gimmick. Again, the art style is what initially grabbed me, so that's why I'm kind of here for that mostly. But that was one they showed, and I was like, okay, all right, yeah, I'm interested. I want to know more about that. So anyway,
so is that all I had to say about that one?
That was all I had to say about that one.
Okay, so how do we want to name every game they announced and say literally nothing about the games that we have nothing to say about, or do we want to just point out the games that we had something to say about?
I was kind of thinking, for the sake of time, since we've got like 10 showcases that we're talking about, and I don't necessarily want to do a full like I kind of took a second to review Keighl's specific event. I don't necessarily think we have to do that for all of them, but I figured the ones that we actually sat down and watched, I figured we could kind of give and obviously you watched a couple more than I got to. So if you wanted to rate some, you can. But I didn't. there's a lot of we'd have a lot to talk about if we went through
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
So
yeah. Okay, well, I'll just go. I've got the page pulled up, so I'll just scroll down and stop when I see something.
okay,
Callisto Protocol, we got some gameplay from that. We actually,
is that one you sent me?
no, it's not.
Okay,
Um,
I can
but
pull something real quick. So just keep
well,
talking.
I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on
Oh,
it. I
okay,
was
never
just
mind.
gonna, yeah, Callisto Protocol. We saw the gameplay, new gameplay for it, and the trailer that the State of Play showed us looks great. I don't know if I'll play it, but you'll love to see it. Visceral, or what used to be Visceral Games,
I mean,
making it's Dead Space.
it's Dead Space. They
Yeah,
basically got out from EA's thumb and are making the Dead Space game that it seems
yeah,
like they wanted to make from the
yeah.
beginning. So
You love to see it. Like
yes,
I love to see EA basically eat their own words. Um, Stormgate, new RTS by Frost Giant. They showed more of this at the PC Game Show. I don't really care for it, but it is good for people who care about the RTS genre. Um, Aliens Dark Descent. That is the Aliens game they announced with that really good trailer. I should have sent this to you, but I didn't. But again, I don't really have much to say about this one because we don't know much.
Mm.
But it is an Aliens game that looks like it's going to be a top-down strategy game. Possibly, it's either going to be strategy or twin stick. We don't know yet. But it's a
That one
top-down
was so
alien game.
funny because it was such an interesting trailer.
Yeah,
And then they
yeah.
showed just a second of gameplay and it was top down. And like, that's fine. That's great. Did not get top down vibes from the
Yeah,
trailer.
the
That they showed.
the trailer was very claustrophobic and very like up close, like the enemy could be anywhere. And then they show that it's top down, which I love a good top down game.
Mhm.
I'm all about those. But that seems strange for Aliens to take that approach.
Yeah.
Got more for Modern Warfare 2. Got gameplay, looks pretty, no substance. Outriders World Slayer. Okay. I sent you it wasn't a trailer, but it was the showcase they showed after. I think it was on Friday when they showed that.
Yeah.
But basically, I'll just do a rundown of Outriders and what we learned about it this week. I'll go ahead and do that now.
Okay.
Specifically at Summer Games Fest, we got the new trailer for World Slayer, which it was an absolute banger of a trailer, I think, because it had just a hype song to it. You got to see a lot of co-op gameplay, people doing crazy moves with crazy guns. Love to see it. So Outriders did their World Slayer in-game showcase this entire weekend, kind of blurred together. I forget what days were what.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Friday, but I'll go ahead and talk about that now since we're on Outriders. The end game is called The Trials of Tarja Gratar, I think. It's something along those lines. And basically, while in Outriders currently we have expeditions, we will continue to have expeditions, but the Trials of Tarja Gratar are something completely new, where it's basically a randomized dungeon. Where think of like, I'm trying to think of a roguelike that you've played that would have done this. Have you ever played a roguelike game to where whenever you beat a combat situation or a level, it gives you a branching option of like, do you go up, mid, down, or left, mid, right, or whatever, and that determines the path you're going on from that point forward. Have you ever kind of seen that?
Yeah, I guess I kind of know what you're saying there.
Okay. Yeah. That is how this will work, because I believe it's going to be randomized dungeons, but as you complete encounters, you pick your next path. And there are these rooms called troves that you can find, which are basically loot rooms. So let's say you've got a convergence point where you go either, let's say it's a vertical, like ascending path, and you've got left path, mid path, right path. Let's say you go right because you see that there's a trove at the end of that path. Once you hit that trove, which is a loot room, it takes you back to that convergence point. And so then you could pick either left or mid. And the troves, something they said about those, and I only watched this once. I need to watch it again. It was very interesting. There will be a sense of some type of targeted loot at play in troves. And my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that think of the troves themselves as a convergence point,
right?
Where you could go left, mid, or right, and you see left is like sniper rifles, mid is helmets, and then right is pistols. You get to pick which loot you take, which I like a lot because Outriders is already so freaking generous with the loot,
right?
That Division, back when they did Summit, they added targeted loot to where whenever you played Summit, you could just pick what loot you find specifically. I don't think Outriders needed that. I think this is the perfect level of how much you needed targeted loot wise from Outriders. So that's cool. But yeah, this is going to be the way to get new gear, and it sounds fantastic. Like, it just sounds like a lot of fun.
So you get to keep the gear. Is that?
Yeah. This is what you do to get new gear. This is not a roguelike mode. It is a roguelike mode in the sense that you have a run in mechanics. Like, you pick your path, and then when you die enough or whatever, you go back to the beginning. See, they're kind of showing the convergence points there on the trailer. So, but the rogue elements stop with the mode itself. You keep everything, and you can go in with your best gear equipped and all that stuff. And none of what you do in the run is just for the run.
I just love that this just seems like such a marriage of two things that you love personally.
Absolutely. 100%. And that's why I love People Can Fly so much.
Yeah.
Because they speak to me on a spiritual level in terms of like video games and what I enjoy out of video games. And this just seems like the big thing with like Destiny, as for example, and to stop me if I'm going on a rant, I'm trying to be very quick and concise. But I'm almost done with Outriders. Thing about Destiny is that you there's the guns and stuff that you want, but it's always a chore to get the stuff that you want or to masterwork it or whatever else.
Right.
Outriders understands that sure, there's a grind, but the grind doesn't have to be miserable.
Right.
So they made the thing you do to grind the thing that you want to play, gear or not.
Right.
And I love that. I think that's a great way to do it. But last thing I'll say about Outriders, before we move on, they did this entire trailer, and you may notice this if you're kind of watching it while we talk. It was done from the perspective of Pyromancer. Like, they didn't show any other class really. It was just like, all right, let's walk it through as a Pyromancer. And just to remind you of how irresponsible they are with the power level that they give the players. They were talking about some of the gear that the Pyromancer had. Their set was one that made it to where if you set off a thermal bomb, like if you detonate somebody who's been charged with a thermal bomb,
they just showed that.
Yeah, it'll chain to a nearby person, and it can chain up to like 3 times. And then they were like, oh, also here's this gun. I think Hellbringer or something is what it's called. It is a bolt action sniper rifle, but remember, you can remove the legendary mods off of any legendary gun, put on anything else. It is a sniper rifle that, Jeremy's Volcano.
Yeah,
it does that, and it's got a 5-second cooldown.
It just does it.
It just does it. Like, it drops a volcano. And Sven, and again, this is what I love about them, because normally with games like this, they kind of let the subtext be what the players pick up, to where it's like,
right,
a player would be left to think, oh wow, it's kind of like I have 4 abilities then. But Sven, the guy who narrates all these, just comes out and says, a lot of you may notice that that's already a Pyromancer ability, so it's kind of like you have a 4th ability. Like, he just straight up gives us ideas on how to be irresponsibly overpowered, and I love that about these guys. They know that
funny.
It's just a Diablo style power fantasy where they want to make you feel like a demigod with guns, and you'll love to see it. That's my statement for this stream, I guess, is you'll love to see it. It's the game that, like, in a sea of the games that we have from AAA developers that are either just overly monetized, or the game doesn't launch in a full state, or there's some kind of hook, or it's just, I've played this before, and we're in a sea of games like that where everything's unoriginal or overly monetized. And Outriders is just this defiant piece of art that is just like, look, no one's stopping us, so we're just going to keep making a super fun experience, and we're just gonna not gonna monetize it. We're just gonna do it, and it's great. So
yeah, kudos to them for sure.
Yeah, it's great. I love them. They're awesome. So moving on from Outriders, we got Witchfire, which I did send you this one. Witchfire. So Witchfire.
Yeah, this is one I had wanted to talk about too. So go ahead. You talk first, though.
Apparently, they revealed this at the Game Awards in 2017.
They did. There was this has been shown, but well, not this specific trailer, but this has been shown before. This was just kind of an update. Yeah,
that sounds vaguely familiar, but I was not aware of that. This game, I'm just going to say it. It takes the best part of Destiny, which is the gunplay, and I mean it literally takes it. Like you can tell every single movement that this character makes when they pull up irons, when they shoot the guns, when they do melee's abilities, everything.
Yeah.
It literally is Destiny's engine, and it takes all of their animations.
If you had told me that, like, oh yeah, this was, Bungie did this side project, or like some Bungie developers took the engine and did a side project, like I would totally believe it. Or like if some of these guys used to work at Bungie, like
it honestly kind of gave me the vibe
sense.
of how, like with Dying Light, when Dying Light came out with the Hell Raid thing, where it was like you go into the arcade game and you're playing a medieval fantasy game, but it looks like Dying Light. Like the way that's the vibe I got from this. It kind of felt like a mini game you could play within Destiny.
Right.
But I say that as a 100% good thing, because like I said, Destiny's biggest strength is the gunplay.
Yeah.
And when you're combining these cool guns like revolvers and lever actions and bolt actions and muskets, and you're combining those with magic, that's a cool aesthetic. And I think that's awesome, and it just looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, the gunplay looks really fun. I like. I mean, it has a big like Van Helsing vibe too, and there is another game out that is like God of War if it was Van Helsing. I'm blanking on that game's
Evil
name.
West. No, wait, not Evil West.
It is something like that. Yeah, Evil West. I think that's right. Anyway, this is not that, but it has a lot of the same energy and vibe. Just you're fighting monsters. You've got guns that have like holy relics on them and stuff like that. You've got some spells that you're casting. So it looks very cool. I like and it's funny during the trailer while we were watching it. I literally was about to say, if only this had a bow, and then it showed a crossbow. I was like, okay, like they get it. They know what they're doing. So I'm excited. The magic looks cool. The gunplay looks really slick. So yeah,
I'm glad to see that some studios, because when one studio does something big, like I was talking about this during this live stream, because space horror and space games was a big theme.
Yes.
And whenever a trend is set by a big mover and shaker, like we knew Bethesda years ago was making Starfield. So whether intentional or not, whether it's just people talk behind the scenes and they're like, well, Bethesda is doing space, so we got to do space or whatever. But these things kind of follow each other, where we have these trends that just kind of happen.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that at least a few developers are going with this trend of monster hunting. That's an aesthetic that I love. What we're getting basically in Witchfire, of just like old school guns mixed with occult magic and stuff, and you're just slaying demons and witches and werewolves, and like that's just cool. That's just a cool aesthetic that we don't get enough of.
Yeah. It looks super fun. And by the way, I went ahead and just flagged Starfield, so I'll have footage for us when we talk about that one.
Great. So. Moving on from Witchfire, Routine. Nothing to say about this. Except
it kind of looked cool. Like I want to see more from it. It looks like a horror. It's like a horror, but robots are what you're afraid of instead of.
But the robots, I love the design of the robots because they have teeth. Like they have jaws that they can unhinge, and like you don't see that from robots a lot. Like very expressive faces.
They have teeth.
I mean, look at the trailer. It's horrifying.
Yeah, you're right.
But apparently, Routine was announced in 2013. So that's a thing.
Right.
But the reason I even bring it up is Mick Gordon of Doom is doing the soundtrack. Yeah. So that's good to see. Goat Simulator hit us with the greatest swerve in video game trailer history.
I still need to go and clip your reaction from that, because that was so funny.
Yeah. Basically, before I move on, just real quick to explain it, they started with a Goat Simulator, like a lower graphic looking version of the Dead Island 2 trailer that everyone was hyped about years ago. And so they were just memeing on it. And then when the first zombie would have shown up in the Dead Island 2 trailer, a goat shows up and rams a lady. It was fun. Like in the moment, I was just kind of like, oh, this is stupid. But I'm not even hyped about Dead Island 2. I just saw that and I was like, wow, they really did this.
They really went there.
They went there. Moving on, Marvel's Midnight Suns. We got a release date for it, October 7th of this year.
Yep.
It's gone under a bit of an overhaul. It sounds like they've stuck to their guns regarding the cards and the 3-person teams and everything. But the advantage of Summer Games Fest and them announcing, like, kind of revealing Midnight Suns, is that the press actually got their hands on it. A lot of people played it, and generally people seem to really like it. The combat, they said, is the weakest part because it like the levels are very repetitive and they're kind of tight, and it's more of just like it's not like XCOM to where environment plays as much of a role and it's like long-term missions or anything. That's been my understanding. But people have been really, really hooked on the RPG mechanics of like developing your superhero and getting to know the different Marvel heroes and stuff. And honestly, like I don't need the combat to be the most in-depth thing there. I want them to be able to deliver on making an interesting original Marvel character and making all of the characters that are licensed characters, like all the actual Marvel heroes. I want them to feel genuine.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
it's the guy who made XCOM doing his dream Marvel game.
Yeah,
It should at least, the gameplay should at least feel good. So
yeah, I think that it's going to be good. I think that people need to temper their expectations on an XCOM tier type game because you can't really translate XCOM 1-to-1 with Marvel because XCOM is about taking weaker individuals and outsmarting, outwitting, outplanning your opponent. But Marvel is kind of the exact opposite, to where you're playing as these larger than life heroes that need to feel powerful all the time. So it's kind of like you can't expect them to 1-to-1 from XCOM because it's kind of the opposite vibe. So I have faith that they'll do it right. But the fact that we have, good job, Austin. Congrats on killing Kashaladora. That's a Monster Hunter dragon. Wind.
Thank you. I was what are we talking about?
Yeah. But Michael Jai White is voicing Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And freaking Yuri Lowenthal, the man himself, has returned as Spider-Man. And every single time, I swear, guys, I see him in the Spider-Man role when I'm not expecting it. It just puts a stupid grin on my face because it makes me so happy. When he showed up in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, when I was playing that the night it came out, I was so happy. I smiled so big. It was great. And hearing him here was like, oh my gosh, that was the biggest reaction that I had in the entire Midnight Suns thing was, oh my gosh, it's Yuri.
Yeah. Spider-Man shows up and he was like, yeah, we figured that. And then he talked and he goes, it was Yuri, that's Yuri. So it was very funny.
Which again, that is just a testament to how well he portrayed the character. And I said when Marvel Ultimate Alliance came out,
Yuri is back, Austin.
Yeah, Yuri is playing Spider-Man in Midnight Suns. But I said back when Ultimate Alliance 3 came out, that was one of the most stellar voice casts we've gotten in a game. And I stand by that because every single character was nailed perfectly. Like even when they didn't get an actor that had portrayed them in a video game, like Tony Stark, they got somebody who sounded just like Robert Downey Jr. So they either sounded just like their MCU counterpart or they sounded just like their most prolific video game counterpart. Or they literally were, because like Nolan North, I think, voiced Rocket and Deadpool, and he's the one who voices them and everything.
Right.
Steve Bloom was back as Wolverine. Like they brought back all the legends. Oh, it was great. That was such a good time playing that game. But yeah, Yuri's back. All right, moving on. Did you have anything to say about Cuphead?
Shoot, I don't know if I pulled a trailer for that one, but I'll just say
it's just more Cuphead.
It's just more. We've known about the delicious last course for a while. We've seen it. We've gotten the release date already. They just showed a trailer about it, and now I'm sitting here thinking about it. I don't even really know what they showed that was like new or special.
They just showed a little bit of a boss fight. That was literally it.
Anyway, it looks great. I'm super excited about it. I want to make Steven play it, but we'll see if I can convince him.
I'm open to it. Neon White, that Annapurna game that looks very unique, but I don't think either of us care about it.
No, we've seen that so many times, and I've never cared about it.
Midnight Fight Express.
I do have that one. That was one I had pulled to talk about.
This is one that I'm excited about, but here's the catch: I was going to play this on stream. And then when I opened it, my virus software quarantined the file because it was suspicious.
I can't find it now.
But to add context, Midnight Fight Express it kind of looks like if you took Sifu made it a top-down perspective with more Absolver graphics than Sifu, where everything's just kind of abstract, and it's just a beat 'em up. It's made by a single father in Poland.
Yeah, that was surprised. I was so surprised to hear that.
Yeah,
That
which
was
that's super cool.
super cool, super cool.
Yeah.
I'm about to get gameplay up for it, but yeah, you nailed it with the aesthetic of it's like Sifu, and Absolver, kind of that feel.
But with
But
guns, there are
with
guns.
guns,
Hush.
it's top down, so that's kind of a different perspective as well. But it just looks really, really fun. And something that was kind of in this trailer that I didn't realize was it looks like we're going to be playing different characters
Yeah.
in like different scenarios and whatnot.
Here's something interesting
Okay.
that I'm reading on the Summer Games Fest description. The story was penned by the co-writer of Witch Queen. Animations were built with the involvement of the stuntman from God of War.
Nice.
And the game features 40 new tracks from the dance and electronic artist Noise Cream, whatever that is. It's spelled Noise Cream, but I hate saying that.
I hate hearing that.
I hate it. But the reason that's relevant to me is because they did the music for RoboQuest, which Vortex, if you're here, that's the roguelite robot game that we played that had the bumping soundtrack.
Yeah.
So that makes me really happy because if the soundtrack's anything like RoboQuest, oh man, we're in for a jam.
Yeah.
Moving on, Warframe. I think they were just talking about TennoCon or something. They announced a new thing with Twitch Prime or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to the Genshin Impact people.
Frame. Yeah. I have one of those. There were two that they showed, and we thought they were the same thing. Yeah. What were the names on those? Because
Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero. Star Rail is apparently a sequel because that's apparently a franchise that they've had for a while, I think is what I heard. And then Zenless Zone Zero is the one that's coming to mobile, I think. That's the one that...
Zenless Zone Zero is the one that I flagged to talk about.
Okay.
I keep accidentally letting music come through. It just looks super cool. It looks like an anime like fight, like almost like not a hero shooter, but like a hero... I don't know.
It's kind of like the My Hero Academia game, but not
My Hero.
Yeah, because like that was like small arenas, but it was like a 3D fighter to where you're not fighting other players, you're fighting mobs. Basically.
Does the article you have up, does it talk about like what style of game it's going to be? Because
Hoyoverse kept things rolling with a fresh look at Zenless Zone Zero, a futuristic urban action RPG with plenty of cyberpunk trappings. The trailer gives you a good glimpse of what the upcoming game's moment-to-moment gameplay feels like, with a cast of anime and sometimes animalistic characters taking turns to hack and slash their way through mechs as they dodge attacks.
Yeah, that honestly, that's what I was going to say. Is like honestly, all I feel like we've seen is the characters. Like it shows off a ton of different characters. Yeah. There's a the character Ina, the guy with the engine legs. That guy.
Oh, Tenya Ida. It was Tenya Ida if he was a furry.
Tenya Ida if he was part wolf. So yeah, just the cast of characters looks really fun. So depending,
you can expect that to be a strength of the game because they made Genshin and people seem to love Genshin.
Well, and hearing it's an RPG, that sounds like it's gonna be cool too. So this was made by the Genshin people.
Yeah.
It's not
Hoyoverse.
Okay, because there was another anime looking thing like this.
That was the other one by them.
So there were two by them.
There were two. Yeah, that was Honkai Star Rail. That was the one that had it was also very character focused. And one of the things we saw was a girl nuking somebody and then sitting down and taking a sip of her tea.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was also Hoyoverse.
Yeah, I'm curious on both of these. That obviously ZZZ was the one that kind of stuck with me, but the other one looked interesting as well. So curious to keep up with both of those.
Moving on, Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge. Not much to say about it, but we're definitely going to stream that with Jeremy sometime.
Yeah,
that's going to be a blast.
Yes.
It's just a 6-player, I think is what it landed on. Yeah, 8.
Yeah. That was the big. That was one of the
7.
The big things.
It's 6.
The big thing was that it was up to 6 players, and then there was a new playable character, Casey Jones. I think something like that.
Casey Jones, and he does everything sports themed, and it's hilarious because if he uses a basketball attack, he suddenly changes into having a basketball jersey on. It's great. It just looks like a lot of fun. That's going to be fun to play with Jeremy. A lot of stuff I didn't care about, and then we got to, oh baby, Metal Hellsingers. Let's go. Okay. Did you watch any of my stream of Metal Hellsinger?
Where you actually played it?
I played the demo. Yeah, I streamed it.
No, I did not. I did not get to watch that.
Okay, hold on. Flynn is being a butt. Give me just a sec.
Flynn is being a butt. Metal Hellsingers is the game where it's Doom if it was a rhythm game. So that's obviously Steven did a demo of it. So go watch that live stream to see his thoughts on it. But
again, if you like seeing me react like a goofy child because I'm just enjoying something, that's one of those streams.
Yeah.
Some of you may remember a game called BPM Bullets Per Minute, which I consider to be the first of these rhythm shooters, and it doesn't really get enough credit because it came out like I want to say 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But basically the whole shtick of it is that it is a roguelike game where the only things you can do outside of rhythm is move and jump. So shooting, reloading, dodging, all that stuff you have to do on the tempo of the song. So the cool thing about this game, one, the graphics are just better than BPM because BPM had a very kind of oversaturated art style that was unique but not pretty to look at. But with this one, it looks prettier, but also there is just so much. They've partnered with so many legends, like Surge from System of a Down. There's someone from Lamb of God. There's a bunch of people from the world of metal music that have done stuff for this game. And the game feels great to play, but also there are some nice little touches in there where, like, two things that I learned while playing the game is that one, the soundtrack has both a vocal version and a non-vocal version.
Well, that's cool.
So the vocals are locked behind getting a point streak. You have to be playing the game well, and as you do, if you get to time 16, then the vocals kick in. So it's dynamic. Yeah, it's super cool, and it made it where, like, when I started hearing the screamo and the song that was in the demo, I don't know who the vocalist was, but it was a woman, which I was saying on the stream. Women who do metal music, like when the good ones, they are so good, and this is one of those. She was phenomenal. But whenever the vocals kicked in, I would get chills every time because it's like, oh shoot, I'm doing well, but also this just is such a good song. And then another thing, there's a sword that you can use, and its special ability, like its ultimate, makes it to where the music changes and just goes to like a chugging metal guitar, like a dun 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 dun, like that, and it changes the tempo to where when you swing, it's almost like your swinging is the chugging of the guitar. It was so metal. Like, that's just like everything about this game is just like, man, that's metal as hell. Like, just seeing everything in it is just they took the aesthetic of when someone says that's metal and they just made it a video game.
Well, this is such a wild pairing of things to me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was definitely made for you and Vortex and people like you guys who enjoy Doom, who enjoy the music of Doom. I'm really glad this exists for you guys. The whole concept of like shooting on the beat, and I know you're talking too about the jumping and the dashing, and I'm seeing that in this gameplay demo that you shared with me, but like that's just such a I don't know that I could handle that.
It's
like,
not as bad as it seems.
Do you remember when we played
it's a high roll? I watched that Let's Play recently. It was a disaster.
I sucked at it. I just don't. I can't. I'm too focused on what I'm trying to do, like from a I don't know, not tactical standpoint, but just like I'm too focused on attacking to think about, let me attack on the beat too. So,
but so it's an adjustment at first, but for me, like I would find my body just like I would tap my foot to the beat and to where I would like do things with my hands to where like I would always be doing a movement on the beat. Even if I wasn't shooting the gun, I would make sure to like press very quickly, like left or right. So I would be constantly making a movement so that I would shift from like pressing D to step right on the beat to shooting.
Yeah.
And like I would shoot a few times before I would never just shoot once. I would shoot in a rhythm, and then I would reload. Whenever I hit reload, you're supposed to hit the reload button again to do a perfect reload, but I would hit R to the tempo.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it doesn't penalize you for hitting it too early. So I would just keep hitting to the tempo. And that was basically the trick for me, was just I was constantly doing something to the tempo like I actually was with either my hands or my feet, and it helped me stay on rhythm. But that's just like it feels super cool when you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
And it is one of those to where like I don't know if you even care about that kind of music at all, but it is a very unique kind of gaming experience that I think we're going to get a lot more of moving forward, and I'm totally okay with it.
Yeah, looks super cool. So,
next one is Nightingale.
Yep.
This one is quickly becoming one of my most anticipated.
That's so
it looks
funny
super
to me.
cool.
I love that we've latched onto this one as much as we have. I mean, it looks like the forest, which we obviously really enjoyed playing with Jeremy. It looks like the forest if it was happening in the Fey Wilds or whatever.
It looks like a combination to me of the forest and like Remnant from the Ashes, where there's the different planes of existence and worlds you can go to, and the whole idea of being able to manipulate where you are through the cards, and you can like go to a different plane that's got specific weather effects, or maybe one that's made of diamonds, and that way you have a source of diamonds, and like you can travel to all these different places. And using the portals also apparently can cost you to where my understanding is in some way, since portals are two ways, when you go to another plane, maybe it has plentiful resources, but you've also opened the door for whatever is in that plane to be in your others, or something like that.
Demon spiders, like we saw in the trailer.
But just the combination of, one, it looks very pretty. Two, the portal system and the cards and being able to affect that sounds super cool. But there's guns, there's base building, there's giants. Like it seems like it's going to be one of those games where, kind of like the forest, where we were constantly in a state of being on edge and being like, we need to prepare for the next thing. This game has that vibe to it.
But also, let's build like a 20-foot tower that Jake decided
right.
would be fun.
Right. But now, instead of just being like, gosh, I hope the camels don't get through, everything we build, we have this thought of, how do we counter 12-foot tall giants?
Yeah.
And that's super cool. Like it's the kind of game that like a survival crafting game that, to me, that's the kind of game that I would want out of that. One that blends the survival crafting aspect with the I am in constant danger and I need to prepare for the next thing.
Yeah.
And the aesthetic is just super cool.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Next thing, Saints Row. There's a character creator that they've launched now, I believe.
Yeah, you can make your own character now. It's great.
Yeah, they did that with Saints Row the Third, so go nuts. Gotham Knights, very disappointing.
They showed that trailer of Nightwing. We've already seen Nightwing. Like,
yeah, they were like, oh, we'll be at the Summer Games Fest, and it was just like, here's a highlight of our first character, Nightwing, and it was less of a highlight than the one we got like 3 weeks ago. Yeah. It was dumb.
Very disappointing.
Super dumb. Okay, last two things. First, Warhammer 40K Darktide. The more I see about this game, the more hyped I get. I don't know who's going to play it with me, but it just looks super cool because you're playing as like this band of misfits in the 40K universe. There's an Ogren, a Zealot, or a Commissar or something. Looks like a Guardsman soldier or a Kasserkin. I can't remember what he was. There's a Psyker, which uses magic. Like, it's a bunch of characters that seem like they're going to be, I guess, mercenaries or like a Suicide Squad of sorts. And I didn't like Vermintide because it was just standard Warhammer, but I liked the gameplay. I'm not a standard Warhammer person. Right. I can't even consider myself a Warhammer 40K person because I'm not as committed as the average person, but I have played some 40K games and I like it.
Yeah.
Like, I've played Dawn of War a lot. I played Space Marine a bit. This is the kind of game that I want out of 40K, which is a co-op kind of character shooter that feels kind of like Left 4 Dead, but is still its own thing. Like every time I played Vermintide, it was like, I really wish this was 40K. And sure enough,
Yeah.
here comes Darktide. Can't wait.
Yeah, this looks fun. I'd be down to play it, especially if it was something that came to Game Pass.
It is.
It is. Oh, count me in. I'm in.
Yep.
I'll definitely do it for stream stuff. The magic character, I forget what you called it. The
Psyker.
Psyker. I was gonna say seer. That's not right.
The Psykers in 40K lore, Vortex, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure Mike will show up out of nowhere to correct me because he's the authority that I know of with Warhammer lore. But basically, the Psyker can speak with the machine gods beyond the realm of existence. Like, think of like there being a void of like what lies beyond, and the Psykers can commune with that void. So they basically can like blink people out of existence and or shoot like lightning and stuff. But it probably is going to be the kind of gameplay style of a kind of like I said, a necromancer, like blood magic and death magic, where spells have a price. I imagine that's probably what the Psyker is going to be like, to where using their big move probably will take out most of your health or something like that.
Yeah.
But still pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I like that we've switched gears to where like you're the one that's reading through all this stuff, because normally that's me. I like much better just listening and hitting buttons to watch videos.
Yeah. I like talking. It makes it to where I can control how much we talk about things. Speaking of which, Last of Us got news. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, a pretty like that was the big thing. Again, just kind of talking about what kind of our overall comments from that showcase. That was the big thing at the end.
Yeah,
and it was
they
nothing.
spent way too much time on it.
It was nothing. They didn't have a trailer for the show, which it just finished filming. I wouldn't have expected that, but like
they had a picture though, and you guys aren't gonna believe this.
They had one picture.
You aren't gonna believe this though. What's his name? Pedro Pascal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Pedro Pascal looks like Pedro Pascal. Can you believe it?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was disappointing. It was good to hear that Foundations, or whatever they're going to end up calling their multiplayer, Last of Us. It's good to hear that that's still progressing, but all they showed was a piece of concept art. It's just like
a picture that could literally be
come on.
Like honestly, it's a Game Informer article. I guarantee you, in a few months, Game Informer is going to be like, our game spotlight is Last of Us, and it's going to be that exact same picture.
Yeah. Just a weird to sit so much on that. They did announce, which had leaked the day before, so it kind of stole their thunder. But the Last of Us Part 1 remake was announced. It looks beautiful. It looks like you're playing Last of Us Part 2. The thing, when you look at like their bullet points of like things that they've done, obviously it's mostly graphically whatever, but it keeps mentioning updated gameplay mechanics, updated whatever. And Steven has said it's just going to be a coat of paint. It's just going to be new animations, whatever. And I don't disagree with you, but I know you're hopeful. Hey, the game plays like Last of Us Part 2, where you're not doing ladders, you're not doing stupid stuff, you can go prone. Like, if it's that, I will be replaying this game and I will buy it at full price, whatever it is. But if it's just a graphical update, I don't care. So
it just seems so oversaturated.
It looks great, but
it's just so oversaturated to me, because like Last of Us 1, which mind you already got a remaster.
Yeah.
It looks great. And I know like it looks even better now, but like you're literally coming out with a live action interpretation of this game, and then you're going to do a remake of that game due out around the same time as the show. It just feels like such an oversaturation, and it just seems like they're just milking it.
They're trying to hit everything they can all at once, and it's just like you're saying, it's going to be too much when it does come. So hopefully it won't be. But
so that was all for the Summer Games Fest.
Yep.
I pulled up the Future Games Show.
Well, if you want to go in order, I think Devolver Digital was next.
I didn't have that one.
I've really only they literally only showed 4 games, so I've only got one that I want to talk about from that one. But
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, Steven, it may be like the most exciting announcement that I saw out of this whole event this past week. It's called The Plucky Squire. And first off, looks beautiful. It's an indie
Yeah.
game. And so it starts off here if you're watching live.
I'm
It's
gonna
this
grab some water
story.
real,
It's
real
the
quick. I'll be right back.
storybook character, and you play top down on the storybook. But like you can tell like the perspective shows you the book. It shows you like things on the desk that you're watching, and it just has a lot of different interesting gameplay moments. Like there's a moment here we're seeing where he's boxing. There's an archery mini game that happens, but then out of nowhere he jumps off the storybook and suddenly it's a 3D, almost Toy Story style game, and we don't see a ton of what that all leads to. But just if this had just been, oh, you're in a storybook, but like you see the stuff around you, like isn't that fun? Like I would have been like, yeah, that looks super fun. I'm in. But then the fact that it goes into kind of a store, like a Toy Story play 3D in the room, like I'm just so excited to see where they take that and what they do with all of this. So,
Yeah, that
um,
one seemed really cool.
and it just looks great. Like the 3D stuff looks just like the Link's Awakening game that came out recently. It's just kind of that crazy 3D style that they did, but still had like bokeh and lots of other stuff. Like the 2D aspect of this looks beautiful. The 3D aspect of this looks beautiful. As long as it's fun, like I don't know how they could. This is one that I don't know how they could biff, but they biffed Trek to Yomi, so I guess I could be proven wrong. But anyway, it just looks super fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, the thing from this string of events that I'm the most excited about right now. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So moving on to future game show, Jake, if you can go ahead and play the thing that I just sent you, um, and I will explain what it is because it's the only thing that really was of note for a good bit in the future game show.
okay,
And I'll just explain context as we go. The
yep.
future game show was hosted by Geralt and Yennefer from The Witcher.
I hate I missed this. This is so
um,
awesome.
and like it was their actual voices, and they just went from game to game. They just were announcing all these different games, and they were doing it kind of in character,
Hmm.
where like they never called each other Geralt and Yennefer. They called each other by their names, but like Geralt, Doug was his name, would would be like queuing up a game, and he'd be like the brewmaster, like
Hmm.
he'd queue up a game, and be like, ah, sounds like a perfect opportunity to get a nice cup of ale, or like he would be like, it was just fun. It was a
Yeah.
fun time. But the first game they showed is a game called Outpost. That is the gameplay that is showing right now.
Hmm.
The reason I bring this one up, um, just the quick description they gave on this website: intriguing first-person shooter Outpost, which is a working title, combines elements of survival, RTS, base building. You can wishlist it now. We don't know when it's coming out, but it just looks like this. So a few months ago, they announced this game,
Hmm.
and I sent this, I think, to Jake and Jeremy, just thinking like, this game doesn't look real. Like this game just kind of looks like a tech demo that's never going to be fully realized,
Hmm.
because it just looks so insane, like very involved, to where you're just building this base and then an army of aliens or whatever attacks. And it just looks like something you'd see out of an action movie, where there's just so much going on that's like incomprehensible, like a giant swarm of smaller flying robots coming in like one entity, and then you've got ground troopers coming. Like, it's just constant chaos. It just looks visually very interesting to me.
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm gonna play it or get it or whatever, but it's one of those where I see it and I'm just like, that just looks super neat. And that's pretty much all I got to say about it.
I agree with you on the it looks like a tech demo
Yeah,
side. But I mean, it's got a lot
but
that, like you said, it's got a lot happening. So
like if it delivers,
yeah.
that could be like just a super cool experience.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm expecting from it, is something where I play it and I'm just like, that was some of the most crazy video gaming I've done. So you can just keep that rolling, and I'll tell you when I've got something else
Okay.
of note, because this was pretty long and I wanted to make sure that like a lot of the crazier stuff got to be shown. They announced, or do you want me to name all the names or just the ones that caught my eye?
I'm cool with us just focusing on what caught our eye.
Okay.
From everything.
Nightingale got more explanation of the card system, but we already talked about Nightingale. Morbid Metal got shown, and that's one that I did send you a trailer for that.
Yep, I've got it playing.
This one is another one that I sent to you guys a few months ago. This game is made by one person.
Wow.
I don't know if you've watched the gameplay yet, but it looks sick. I'll read the description of it. Where is it? A dark action roguelite coming from a solo developer. Morbid Metal revealed a new gameplay. Okay, that's basically you play as one of 4, quoting Yennefer, badasses with blades.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, what is happening? There's like the person's changing character like on the fly.
I think you can dynamically shift characters.
That's so cool.
Like, it looks crazy.
Yeah.
Especially for the work of one person. But one thing I will say, I don't think we're going to get this game for a long time, because this gameplay that you're watching, that is the exact same setting in which the gameplay that was shown when they announced the game. So it almost feels like we're still in very early development, where he's only got like one environment rendered.
Gotcha.
But that could be just me guessing.
Well,
American Arcadia.
He may have been focusing on these characters, because these characters look amazing. So
yeah, like, it just looks like a blast.
Yeah.
And I hope it delivers. And the thought of that being from one person, crazy. Love to see it. American Arcadia got another little bit of a showcase. They showed a little bit more. So again, I think, Jake, that you should go watch this showcase, because this was the most that was shown for American Arcadia was at this showcase.
Right.
Entropy Center, which was a puzzle game that looks like it's Portal, like a spiritual successor to Portal, but it looks like you can manipulate space and time. So you can like rewind things and fast forward them and stuff like that. So that looked cool. Games from Ukraine, I really appreciated this. They did a showcase of developers in Ukraine, but it wasn't just like them saying, "Oh, people in Ukraine are still making games and they're struggling."
Right.
They gave them a spotlight, and we got
gave
to
them a
hear,
spotlight, let them do it and go. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to hear from the developers about how development has changed in Ukraine, and we got to hear about their games, and they mentioned charities, and I thought that was the smart way to do it.
Yeah.
So just scrolling down, The Last Faith looked really cool. It is the way Geralt described it was an action, like a very action heavy Metroidvania with the aesthetic of Bloodborne.
Nice.
So all about that. Tinykin was another one. It's basically Pikmin. Like to me, it looked like it was trying to invoke Pikmin.
What is it called?
Tinykin.
I'm gonna look this one up. I want to see it. Tinykin.
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 Tinykin got a trailer. I believe it. We've known that it existed before, but it's coming out in August. Serial Cleaners got a trailer. It's coming out September.
We did a couple Let's Plays of that one.
We did more than a couple. I feel like we did like
we had a bunch. It was great.
Yeah, it was fun.
I like in that one you get to play as different characters that have different specialties. So looking forward to that. But anyway, I'm showing Tinykin. I think we had actually the thing I'm showing right now was from E3 2021. So anyway, looks cool.
So here we got some crazier announcements, which again, I like, because this show,
where are we? Future Games still?
This Future Games still, yeah. This show didn't have anything that I saw where I was like, I absolutely need this. But I liked the flow of things, and there was a nice variety, and there were also some surprises, like Planet of Lana got a showcase.
Yep.
Also, Deadly Premonition 2 got shadow dropped at this event,
Dang.
which is the sequel to a renowned game, Deadly Premonition. And then they showed Power World, which I can't with that game.
I don't know how that game is real.
It makes me uncomfortable on so many, like, it's just Fortnite but with furries.
It is Pokemon, but with guns, Steven.
It's Fortnite with furries.
It's Pokemon with guns.
Agree to think that you're wrong. Ill was the last thing they announced. It's a short-lived gameplay feature. Not really anything to say about this. It looked very dark and spooky, but that's how they ended it. I don't know if it's a franchise that exists already or if there's the developer that's working on it is noteworthy or what. It looked cool, but it was just very quick.
Yeah.
That was the Future Game Show. I was expecting something on the level of IGN's Expo, which was garbage.
Right.
But they made it fun. Like, even though it didn't have a ton of big hits, which it did have some significant stuff to it, they made it entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I enjoyed hearing the banter between Geralt and Yennefer, and they had a good time with it. I thought it was good. It was good. Okay. Ready for some Xbox?
So, well, I was just about to say, I'm looking at what I've got left from what we're going to talk about. There's a bunch of Xbox. Arguably, I think the best showcase just as a whole unit. But there, you've got one Capcom thing you want to talk about.
I've got two. One that I want to talk about, and one that I have to talk about.
The only thing that I think we should probably maybe talk about first is the PC gaming show, because I've got two from that. Was that after Xbox?
That was after Xbox.
Okay, well let's just do Xbox. Let's just do Xbox.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so to kick off the Xbox show, we did stream this, but they started off strong, showed us some Redfall gameplay.
Yep.
Which I liked pretty much everything I saw about this.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single thing that I didn't like. I need to watch it again because there was a lot of chaos happening when we watched it.
It's a really cool trailer. It shows off each character,
Mm-hmm.
kind of talks about what they can do very generally. But it looks super fun. I mean, it's definitely it's basically Left 4 Dead if Arcane did it and it had vampires instead of zombies.
But I did see it referred to as open world. I don't know if that's a fact, but that changes things.
Yeah.
Which I hope it is open world, because this, I don't know, something about it I think could really work.
That would be a really interesting way to mix up that Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood,
absolutely,
gameplay loop, because that it's so get to the safe house, get to the safe room, get to the next level. The fact that there would be no safe rooms in this, or like maybe there are, but it's not like it's not a stopping point. You just keep going.
Yeah, and they could even make it to where safe houses are a thing, and like maybe you go to explore like where a movie theater is, and you on the way with your team you find a safe house, and you're like, oh cool, let's make note of that on the map.
Yeah, let's kid out here and keep going.
You kid out there, you prepare for where you're going, then you go there, and then things just completely hit the fan.
Yeah.
And you're running for your life, and that's when it becomes, we need to find a safe house, or we need to just get out of here, or whatever. I feel like those games work really well. Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood. But if you removed the linearity to it, to where it became more about you approaching situations how you want to, as well as making safe houses like a valuable resource almost.
Right.
I think that would work really well. And I think that this is a great game to do it.
Yeah. Just looks super fun. I can't wait for this one.
Which Yuri Lowenthal comes back. He is the sniper, I think.
Oh, okay.
So which character are you eyeing the most?
There's one who he threw like an electric spike, and I forget exactly how they described his character, but that was the one that I was kind of like, okay, all right, I'm kind of
whichever one gets the robot is the one I'm playing.
That was the other one that I was like, that might be good because if the robot automatically shoots for me, I'll have a better chance. But no, I think probably the spike thrower guy is who I'm gonna want to be. I forget exactly how they worded what his character does, but he like threw spikes and had a lot of electricity that he was doing and utilizing. So that's the one that I want to use. But
Yeah.
um, the other one may be the main girl that they show, because she has some sort of magic abilities. Like she makes an elevator at one point that can kind of launch people into the air. There's an umbrella shield that she does at one point. That might be interesting. So I don't know. I'm excited to see more. Again, this was just a very general, like, hey, here's kind of what our characters are. So
Yeah. We didn't have gameplay yet. We got gameplay. It didn't disappoint.
talking about.
Um, Redfall.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you were
Yeah, I
addressing
was
that
just
comment that just came in.
no. I don't know Vortex, but something about the Xbox showcase that I forgot to mention. Apparently, every single one of these games that they showed is going to be playable within the next 12 months.
12 months, yeah.
So moving on from that, Hollow Knight Silk Song announced for Game Pass.
I can't believe you didn't say anything about that to me or Brody. What's funny is that
What
is.
do you?
Do
You were there.
I missed that one though. I walked away from that.
Oh,
I
was
showed
probably
up for like 2 seconds of Redfall. Like I technically really did not get to watch the Redfall trailer live. I had to go back
yeah.
and rewatch it later. But I came back. I basically missed most of Redfall. Came back after
I
Hollow
didn't know you
Knight.
cared about Hollow Knight.
I don't, but it's such Silk Song. Silk Song is such a freaking meme at this point of just like
Yeah.
every Nintendo Direct. It's like, are they gonna announce? Are they gonna announce it? Is this the one? Is this the? Are we finally gonna hear it? It's gonna be shadow dropped. It's gonna shadow drop. And so like, I was shocked when I went back later to see everything that was announced, and that was on there, and I was just like, how did no one say anything? Like I didn't. What? So anyway, yeah, that was a cool one.
Yeah. High on Life is a game made by the guys who did Rick and Morty, Squanch Games.
Now I do want to show this one. Go ahead, say what you were gonna say.
Basically, it's like if they took the Rick and Morty aesthetic, but the gimmick of the game was that the weapons you used are all characters. And so, like, you have a knife, it's like, "Hi, I'm Mr. Knife. I stabby stab." Like,
First off, that was a great Morty impression. I'm really,
it
it
was
was
really
really
going
good.
for a poopy butthole, but okay.
Oh well, yeah, I got either one. It was very good, whatever it was. Yeah. So the big things I want to say here is like my first thing. I love how good this looks. Like
Yeah.
from a graphic standpoint, it just looks really good. Really creative, really different, really beautiful. Um, but so I love that they've improved so much. But the guns, I think this is just a great gimmick because Cyberpunk, there was one gun named Skippy that it talked to you and was funny, and it had like quips that it would say. This is that dialed up to like 100,
Oh,
and with the flavor of Rick and Morty, the voice actors and all those folks,
yeah.
it's just going to be really good.
It is a concept that makes way too much sense for them.
Yes.
I'm excited to see some of the jokes that come from it, but I'm not probably not going to be playing it.
I'm definitely going to play this one.
Okay.
That is on my list. I'm going to get it. I'm going to do it.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Moving on, no footage here, but just Riot Games is bringing all their games to Game Pass, and with it, a lot of content. So that means apparently with like League, Valorant, you unlock the entire roster of characters for having Game Pass, which is ridiculous. That's a really big deal, I think. I still could not care less about either of them. Plague Tale Requiem, you want to take it?
Oh, yes. So obviously we've seen Plague Tale before. And actually the thing I'm showing is from the Tribeca game Spotlight, but we did get a trailer at the Game Awards as well. This game just continues to look
Xbox
amazing.
Showcase. The Game Awards are December.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what I meant. You know what I meant. Calm down.
I just want to make sure that everyone knows that I know that and that you know what you mean.
I had a stroke at one point somewhere, and it really messed my brain up. So what they showed at the actual Xbox showcase, again, this is Tribeca. They're having a little bit longer showcase on it, but they just showed kind of an action trailer. Showed a lot more action. Like this game, kind of the pitch of the first one was that you're this girl who can't fight back. And so you have to stealth everything. And even in my playthrough, which I did a full playthrough, if you ever want to go watch that, I live streamed it all. There are moments where like you actually had to fight, and it was very much about using the environment to just stop the boss. It wasn't you fighting. But it just ended up being a really, really cool story. I loved Amelia, and I'm blanking on the kid's name, Hugo. Just it ended up being a really cool story, a really cool setting, and by the end of it, I loved it, and I thought it would be a one and done thing. So I'm so excited that there's a sequel coming. But it just looks great. It looks really good. So Steven, I'm going to leave it on the 2, and I've got to go help Asher, but I'll be right back when I've got him down.
Okay.
Or, well, hang on, never mind. Leosin looks like she got him. So
Okay.
I just heard him scream. But
okay. Overwatch 2 is going to launch as a free-to-play game in October. We don't know what that means yet, but Overwatch 2 is coming in October, which is kind of crazy. Fallout 76 Expeditions, who cares? Now, to tell you what, Forza Horizon 5 Hot Wheels.
That was the surprise hit. I should clip that as well, because we were talking. They showed some Forza
we
stuff.
gave so much crap for Forza, and then they showed Hot Wheels, and it was like, take it back.
Well, see, they did. Was it 6 that they did the trailer for? That was like, look at the
Motorsport.
new. Oh, okay. Well, it was like, look at all the new, look at all the cool stuff we're doing, blah 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 blah. And then they showed Forza Horizon, and it was just like, more Forza. Oh, I hate this. And then it suddenly switches to Hot Wheels, and we were both like, no, wait a minute. I'm in.
Dope as frick.
It does.
Moving on, Arc 2 coming to Game Pass next year. This says a closer look. That's a lie.
Yeah, it was just a
it was just Vin Diesel riding a T-Rex. Cool. Flintlock Siege of Dawn got a reveal scheduled for Game Pass next year.
I have that one. Now, this one was a surprise for me.
Well, this is a new IP, so like,
yeah.
I don't think we'd heard anything about this before. This was its reveal.
I guess what I meant was like, I'm surprised that I am interested in it, but there's this really cool fox companion that you have in the game that like fights with you, and you can like kind of use it to teleport and stuff. But it's a nice mix of like melee combat with some shooting mechanics, hence the Flintlock.
So they talked about this at the PC Game Show, so I have a little more context.
Well, I'll close out my thought with what's funny now. I'm realizing it reminds me a lot of Forsaken. Now that I'm looking at it again, Forspoken. Just in that, it just feels like Forspoken for some reason to me. That's what I'm getting a vibe of again. But anyway, yeah. What's the context that they gave?
So basically, in the world of this game, you're at war with the gods, I believe. And so your character is like an engineer. So she uses a lot of gunpowder and stuff. So there's supposed to be like a parallel of you using warfare and gunpowder and weapons of war, and your pet is your magic. So you have the combination of traditional weaponry and magic, and you combine both of them to fight gods or something. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I love that combo of traditional weapons and magic. That's such a cool concept.
Yeah. So Lightyear Frontier, this is mechs but farming. I'm gonna try it.
I'm so excited to play it with you.
Like, I never would have thought that I'd see a wholesome mech game, but they did it.
You land on a planet, you farm it, you cultivate it, but then there's also like dungeons and stuff that are happening as well. And while we were watching this, I was just like, Steven, I could totally see us streaming this, and I'm over here farming, I'm watering my plants, and Steven's down in the dungeon like, Jake, where are you? I need help.
I could see it just like Jake's, with his little robot hose arm, just shooting, and I'm like in a dungeon, just like, the only light is from the muzzle of my guns, and then it cuts back to Jake, and he's like clipping flowers. And it comes back to me, and I'm strong, and I'm just like, I'll see you in hell. And then I hit the self-destruct button. Then it goes back to Jake, and he's sniffing flowers with his robot nose. And I'm dead. It's a great time. I can't wait. Gunfire Reborn. This is a game that I got 2 years ago. I believe it came out 2 years ago. It came out for PC by an indie developer, I think from China. $12 early access is how much it costs. It's just a fun little roguelite. It's coming to Game Pass and console. So really cool. Grounded 1.0 launched is September. Looking forward to that.
Super exciting.
Diablo 4. It's coming in 2023, and we got the Necromancer announced.
It was a really long cinematic trailer just to announce a new character. Like, I felt like it went on for way longer than it needed to, just to say new character. Like, but hey, whatever.
It was so long that I was second guessing myself. Like, when it clearly was the Necromancer from Diablo, they focused so long on this cinematic trailer that wasn't even that visually impressive. It was just kind of there that I was like, is this Diablo? Is this, what is it? But Diablo 4, looking forward to it.
It's going to be on Game Pass, so really exciting.
Sea of Thieves Season 7, they did a song.
It was a thing.
And it kind of felt like it was them and the final curtain call of Sea of Thieves. Like, I don't know if you got that vibe from it, but it kind of felt like they were like, we've had a lot of fun along the way, but this is it kind of deal.
I didn't. I mean, sea shanties are a pretty common. I mean, they're a big thing in there, and I could totally see them being like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if we like did a show? Like, that would be cool.
It was some of the wording that made me think, are they done? But I don't know.
I mean, the only thing I would say, like, oh, maybe they are done, is because it was very lackluster in content. It was just like, here's like it was basically some quality of life stuff, some new gear. It's all cosmetic, but yeah, nothing substantial in my mind.
That became the joke of the rest of the stream. Whenever it would it was something dramatic and someone was going to be revealed. We were like, and here comes the pirate. Oh, Sea of Thieves Season 7.
I think we made that joke about Starfield because there was like pirates are near. And it was like, oh, they're back.
Play Sea of Thieves. Team Ninja announced Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Don't really know what to say about this. I just know it's Team Ninja and it's going to be like Chinese
mythology.
I don't know how much it's going to do mythology, but we saw a dragon. I said Chinese mythology when they announced it because I saw the dragon.
It was like a cool, like, rot bug dragon, too. It was really gnarly.
So, don't know what that's going to be like, but it's Team Ninja, and Chinese Dynasty, I feel like, doesn't get any coverage outside of Koei Tecmo, which just keeps releasing the same game about Chinese Dynasty every few years. So, love to see it.
Yeah.
I'm excited. 3 Persona games went to Game Pass. I don't care. A lot of people do. Good for them. Xbox got totally punked because they thought it'd be a good idea to hire Hideo Kojima.
Oh.
Which I booed. But then in hindsight, I'm like, that means he won't make another PlayStation game. Like, they're going to try to...
No, there have been reports afterwards that, like, there's still an ongoing deal. So
let me have something, Jake.
You can have that all you want. I'm just telling you, like, his deal with PlayStation is not done. He's basically just a third-party developer now. He'll make deals on both teams, as long as he's making money, he's fine. So
great.
Now, I do like, and you can have this, Keigh3 was probably very upset that he didn't get this announcement. So,
that made me so happy. You just know that he, like, when he saw that, he, like, was blowing up Kojima's phone. He was like, hey, what the hell? Why didn't you tell me? Man, probably blew up his answering machine. Kojima probably went to his answering machine and it was like, you have 18 new messages. And he was like, I don't speak English. What did the answering machine just
say? Wow.
And then we got to the big reveal. No Man's Skyrim.
You missed Pentiment.
Oh yeah. I wasn't gonna say anything about it because I
I
didn't
was. This is one
go
that's
for it.
on my list of things I'm looking at. Oops, sorry, music. So Pentiment. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but basically, it's this
Pentiment.
Pentiment. Okay.
I
Anyway,
would guess.
it looks like it's going to be a narrative heavy game, but it's basically this. You're kind of a detective in medieval like medieval times, and it's told through this art style of like a medieval storybook or painting. Um, the more I watched it, the more I was like getting interested in it. Um, it just looks cool. Again, very unique art style. There's a whole mystery thing happening. You're kind of solving this mystery.
And it's
Uh,
Obsidian.
it's done by Obsidian, so that's what hooked Steven.
I still don't really. I just realistically don't think I'll play it, but
Yeah,
it's Obsidian, so I'm rooting for it.
you were like, okay, yeah, this will probably be good for you then. Yeah, I'm very curious. I think it's going to be great. But anyway,
Okay, No Man's Skyrim.
No Man's Skyrim,
Um, gonna be
Starfield.
honest, guys. This looked super mediocre and extremely underwhelming, and I don't know if the public shares my sentiment.
Well, it's funny. Watching a lot of Twitter comments afterwards, there are definitely people who are vocalizing kind of our thoughts of just like, I saw somebody, I forget who it was, maybe IGN, somebody put together a comparison of
I saw
here's
that.
here's No Man's Sky, here's Starfield. Um, and I think the actual comment like on the post was something along the lines of No Man's Sky with a budget, can't wait to play, or something like that. And then
Mm,
but then what I saw was a retweet of that IGN, let's just say, post with the comparisons, uh, and the comment above it was like something along the lines of like, oh, I guess all shooting games are the same then because they have a gun, and it's just like, like that's okay to say, but like
it was
when you
Hideo
have
Kojima. That
this
sounds like
many,
something he would say.
when you have this many comparisons, it's kind of hard not to make the comparison, you know?
Look, it was it looked way too similar to the point where, like, if you do a visual comparison, the more interesting one is No Man's Sky, just because by look alone, it has color.
What
Like
what was that? The space game with Spacer's
Outer
Choice,
Worlds,
Outer Worlds. That was done by Obsidian, right?
it was
And Obsidian did the Fallout game that everybody liked, right? New
New
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Yes. Why didn't they give this to Obsidian? Or
Well,
is that what you're getting at?
well.
Because
I'm kind of looking at this and I'm saying, even what was it? Outer Wild. It's not Outer Wilds.
Outer
It is
Worlds.
Outer Worlds. It's like even Outer Worlds looks more interesting than this does,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of it's a catch-22 again. It's like, oh, they did Fallout better than the Fallout guys, and so now
Yep.
I feel like
And
now they've already kind of jumped the gun and have done a better Starfield
well,
than this is going to be. But I don't know.
and the thing about Starfield is that, so with Outer Worlds, it was just dripping with personality. Everything
Hmm.
about Outer Worlds, like every conversation was like you wanted to have them because it was funny, it was well written, the world was interesting, it was a very corporate version of space, but it was smaller. Outer
Hmm.
Worlds was a lot more condensed to where like your ship was a fast travel system. There weren't a ton of planets you could go to. But here comes Starfield, and they're saying there are thousands of planets in this game,
Hmm.
as if like that's a big deal. Which, if they and you can go to anywhere on those planets in this game, but I hear that, and you know what I think? These planets are going to be really empty because there is no way that they have handcrafted these planets to have content on them outside of what is important for story or the
The
occasional
occasional
city.
side scroll, like side
Right,
mission
right.
and things like
And,
that.
and
So.
the fact that they did not elaborate on that,
Hmm.
like they were just like, yeah, there are thousands of planets and you can go anywhere on any of them. And the fact that he wasn't like, yeah, and each of them has indigenous species and there are cities, like you're guaranteed to find these kinds of things. That makes me think, oh no, they think that that's enough. They think that just saying you can go anywhere on any planet is enough, and they don't have to populate it.
Well, and it's the common open world problem, right? That there's all this space, but then there's nothing to do.
Right. And No
And
Man's Sky faces that issue as well,
yeah,
or at least it did. And then No Man's Sky got to the point of where, like, one, it made exploration interesting. I'm sorry, but Bethesda, I'm not going to say they don't know how to make exploration interesting, but their strength comes in exploration meeting storytelling meeting characters.
mm-hmm.
And when you No Man's Sky, with whatever trickery they did to make the game that they made in the infinite number of planets, they somehow figure out a way to procedural everything, but it continued to be visually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they managed to make it to where planets were fun to explore. And I just don't think that this game's going to do that, because one, every planet we saw in this showcase looked ugly as sin. Like, there was no visually interesting planet. They showed us a moon like twice.
Yeah, it definitely had a generic feel to it. And then, like, right now we're watching the lockpick mechanic, and I think you were like, "Oh, it's a little different," but it's like it's the same kind of lockpicking.
It's
thing
as
they've
complex
always
as
done.
playing R2-D2 on Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
I don't know. It just I was hoping for, wow, like, look at this next level. Like, the graphics don't look bad, but for the hype and just the hype and the I don't know, not I can't think of the word, like, this is Bethesda, right? This is the people who made Skyrim.
The expectation.
And the expectation, the build up that they've made for this, to see it be that. I remember even in the stream, I was like, we both have this on high, like, we have this running at 1080, right? We're not watching this at like our lower res. It didn't switch.
And the combat looked boring. The space flight looked boring. Like, No Man's Sky, again, I know, I'm sorry, but it's there. Like, when you start your gameplay with a mixture of third person, first person, like shifting back and forth, and your character is in a traditional spaceman astronaut style outfit, and then you go up to minerals, scan it, see that it's iron, and then it says Fe, which is the periodic table for iron. It's like, you are literally describing No Man's Sky to me right now. You cannot expect me to not just and so, like, when you're in space in No Man's Sky, it never feels void or empty or uninterested or just not interesting at all, because they know how to cleverly fill things in with, like, ships jumping in or random space pirates or asteroid fields, and there's just stuff that makes it to where you never feel like you're just sitting in a void. And that is how I felt when I saw Starfield's ship gameplay gameplay. And also the ships, I think the design is kind of interesting, because it's kind of like it feels less.
You compared it to a gummy ship from Kingdom Hearts 3, which I thought was really funny.
I did. The building looks like it, because it's like you can build your own ship, but they just kept making different kinds of rectangles and squares. And that worries me, because
I'm sure it can get a little bit more interesting. I mean, this is the first thing we're seeing. So
I know, but, like, and maybe Bethesda just has shot themselves in the foot too many times by, like, Fallout 4. The energy in the room for Fallout 4 when they announced that back in 2015 was crazy. Like, everyone was like, "This looks nuts. This looks absolutely insane." This doesn't feel any more impressive than what they showed for Fallout 4, and that was 7 years ago.
Yeah,
that's a problem. And I'm going to play it.
Yeah, that's my thing too. It's like, I really hope that when we get to it and play it, they turn it, like, that we can come back and be like, you know what? But it's good. It's great. So I don't know, but just overall, for what I think we were expecting, it was disappointing. So
like, this is Bethesda. Microsoft just spent a crap load of money on them. And they are like who the industry looks to for innovative, immersive RPG experiences. I just don't see this being one of the greats, and Bethesda is supposed to produce that. So I am preemptively annoyed because I feel like people are going to be like, oh, wow, Bethesda made such a great game where you can do all this, but all the stuff they say is just No Man's Sky. And it's like,
and like my whole thing is, it's fine if they are doing No Man's Sky but better, but I don't know that this is better. like
yeah,
like, and we've kind of talked about it, like just the look, the feel, the vibe, if you will. I feel like No Man's Sky has such a unique and eclectic like visual style, even, and again,
yeah,
going back to Outer Worlds,
worlds.
it's like, okay, even they, because the thing that I kind of keep coming back to is this just looks very bland. Like, and
Yes.
part of that is the color scheme is very just gray. There's not a lot of color happening.
Yeah.
But even like the characters that we are shown in this trailer, like they don't seem to have a lot of flavor. That like Fallout has crazy characters, and then granted, Skyrim is maybe a little bit more tame, but still there's some wild things that are happening. So I don't know. I'm just,
There's personality in both of them, but Starfield seems to
so
lack that.
far it doesn't seem like it has that personality, but
Right.
maybe it will. This is, again, it's just a trailer that's trying to be a little bit more serious, it seems like. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Moving on.
moving on.
PC gaming show.
Yep.
I've only got a few things. You can go ahead and queue up the first one, which
I was about to say, tell me
was
which one, because I just have
Tactical Breach Wizards.
Okay, great.
I have very little to say about this. In fact, really, I kind of just need you guys to see it. But it's kind of like Breach and Clear. Like, think the concept of like Rainbow Six, where you do the Breach and Clear stuff, but your characters are wizards and the other people aren't.
Yeah.
So you're just going in. These guys have like hostage situations going on, whatever, and you're just a wizard that can just hit them with a magic missile.
This looks so fun.
It looks fun. It looks silly. But yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
I love the visual. I love the magic mixed with guns. Again, we've kind of, that's a thing I like. So yeah, I don't know. This looks fun. I definitely want to play this.
Good. Then the other one, like I said, I have very little to say about that one. It just looks delightful.
Yeah, really cool.
The other one is one that I've been waiting on for a good few years now. Endless Dungeon. This is done by the people who do the Endless series of games, like Dungeon of the Endless, not to be confused with Endless Dungeon. But Dungeon
Surely
of the Endless.
Somebody in their marketing team had to be like, "Are we sure this is what we want to go with? Is this the final? Are we sure?"
Well, they're in it too deep now.
They're in it deep now.
Dungeon of the Endless was a combination of a RPG, RTS tower defense kind of game. Endless Dungeon is going to be a twin stick co-op shooter. So my understanding is that you're on a derelict ship, you and the cast of heroes, and you pick your squad. You escort your crystal from point A to B, fighting enemies along the way. It just looks like fun.
Yeah.
Looks like a fun roguelike, whatever. Scrolling through to see other things, they just showed the Outriders trailer again.
Now, how was we've talked about how the PC Game Showcase always does this weird bit, and they kind of seem like they have some continuing narrative. I couldn't make it 2 minutes into it.
So it's
was
funny.
it better? Was it worse? Was it?
It's funny that you mentioned the narrative, because part of it, and I actually did get a chuckle out of this. It was this guy and this girl, and the girl was like, "Hey, what happened last year? There was like this robot, and like, you were crashing from space, and there was this whole thing. Like, what's going on there?" And the guy was like, "Glad you asked. He's dead. We killed him, and we melted him down to make this beautiful RTX computer." Like, and he started to be like, "And you could win this computer." And he was like, maybe it, and apparently that happened in a different timeline, which the writers told me 2 minutes before we started this recording. It was stupid, but it was fun.
Well, there you go. As long as it was fun.
The story's gone. Like, they're not doing that anymore.
Good.
But I fell asleep during this at a certain point, but apparently System Shock got shown.
Mhm.
I did not watch the footage, so I'm not going to link it. Go look it up. Warhammer 40k Space Marine. They talked to a couple of developers, and Vortex was very happy to hear this. But the chief creative officer worked on Doom, and he used the term "rip and tear" naturally. It wasn't even pointed. And it was like, okay, yeah, this. I think Vortex's words were that he is a true Slayer.
He's a true Slayer.
Scrolling down. Gloomwood got an early access release date. This is New Blood, which they've got like a running bit on the PC Gaming Show, and they've been trying to show this footage for the past 2 years apparently, and it finally got shown. I don't know the story, but he held up a really cute little
What was
puppy.
it called? Gloomwood?
Gloomwood. It's described as thief with guns.
Interesting.
But part of when he was trying to get them to show his gameplay, he held up a puppy, and he was like, "I will drown this puppy." He's like, "I could never." And he like, this is a cute little puppy. He was like, "I could never drown this puppy." So that was a thing. Them's Fighting Herds is the My Little Pony 2D fighter.
Yep.
And I Want to Die.
Yep. The PC Game Showcase had a ton, so I don't feel like you have to go through all of them.
Last thing, and I'm only going to say this, so you should look. So you look it up.
Okay.
Half-Life Alyx Leviathan.
Okay.
No, sorry, not Leviathan. Levitation.
Okay.
It was like a gameplay section of Half-Life Alyx, which is probably the most impressive VR title out there right now.
Right.
Go look that up. It was very cool.
Okay.
It was just very cool VR shooter gameplay.
All right, I'll have to look that up.
Cool, and that was it for PC Gaming Show, which brings us to today.
We had a Capcom show just before the podcast. So
Capcom had a show, and Monster Hunter Rise had a great showing. We learned more about Sunbreak. We got to see the new regions, new monsters. The new regions look fantastic. Like there's one region where it's like a destroyed castle, and you hunt around the destroyed castle. I think you can go in it as well. They look super neat. It looks like they're bringing in more stuff from World where the environment could be used more as a weapon. There's a little bit of that in Rise, but it seems like they're adding more of that, which is a good thing. We got to hear about their post-launch plans, which I think they're doing 3 or 4 free title updates this year, and then they're going to continue to update it through next year, which is great.
I don't like the crabs. They announced some crab monsters. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan of the crabs either. But Monster Hunter, got to see that. There's a demo for Sunbreak coming out tomorrow. And they showed the hunts that you can do in the demo. You can try out the jungle map, which I'm excited to because it looked really cool. And there's also going to be like tutorial missions in the demo, which I think is a great idea. So I'm going to be downloading that tomorrow. They didn't talk about Street Fighter a lot, which was good. You can just keep this footage rolling because I've got nothing more in terms of footage. I'm just going to talk about how disappointed I am. They didn't talk about Street Fighter at all, which was good. They're just like, yeah, we're doing a quick showcase of Street Fighter 6 is coming. Here's some other retro fighter games you can get. Moving on, they did Exoprimal, which I was really happy about until they announced that it is a 5v5 where it's 2 different teams that are doing objectives at the same time. Think Gambit, but apparently sometimes objectives happen where you have to join forces. That's kind of cool, but that's not worth ruining the entire game.
I'm so
I was
mad about this.
I was really bummed. Exoprimal looked so cool.
I remember when they first showed that. I want to say it was at a Game Awards.
I think it was a PlayStation showcase. It was just some random thing.
I remember being so excited, just such a wild, wacky concept. And now you're telling me it's freaking PvP? Like, okay, whatever. Does it have invading mechanics like Gambit? Did they talk about that?
I don't. They said more often than not you won't be directly engaging players, but they did show that there was a moment where players. So if I had to guess, there's probably player invasion.
That's such
I'm
a disappointing.
I'm holding my breath on it to where like I'm waiting to see what else they say.
Like maybe they'll have like a non
Yeah,
PvP mode.
I'm hoping so, but apparently the story is told through the PvP mode called Dino Survival, and that's what like, I don't know. Maybe they'll make it to where you can do bots. I don't know. That just was a huge bummer. You know, it
I
was
hope
even
there's something because I was really looking forward to that one with you and Jeremy. That looked
yeah
like a
yeah.
great time.
You know, it's even bigger bummer. Dragon's Dogma.
Steven is so butthurt about that.
I I have the right.
You do.
Minnie knows I'm getting heated. She's like, "What's wrong? Dad, what's wrong?"
Do it,
Um,
do it.
Dragon's Dogma. I think it was the creative director stood up there with Dragon's Dogma 10th anniversary next to him, and he was like, "We're celebrating Dragon's Dogma's 10th anniversary. We're so excited that it came out 10 years ago, all that jazz. And to celebrate, we are happy to announce a series of videos on YouTube that will come out this week talking about the making of Dragon's Dogma 1." And I died a little on the inside. No mention of a sequel whatsoever. We all know it exists. We all know it's out there. Japan, Capcom, stop it. Show us the game.
Just show it.
Just show it. And it's very possible that at this Dragon's Dogma making of celebration thing that they'll announce it. But why would you do that? Why would you not do it right now when all eyes are on you? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's a very weird decision, but
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
And then they talked about Resident Evil a lot. DLC for Village is coming. One of the things is a third person mode, which I thought was interesting. Like they just translated the entire game into third person, which is crazy. And they're in the mercenaries mode where it's an arcade mode where you just kill a bunch of zombies. Chris Redfield is going to be playable, and so is big vampire mommy, Lady Dimitrescu herself. She's going to be playable. And I believe a quote from them was, "Look down upon your enemies as a 9-foot tall Lady Dimitrescu as you slash through your foes," or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Steve's just so defeated.
That
I'm sorry,
defeated me.
bud. I'm sorry.
It really did.
I'm sorry, bud.
I've been playing through Dragon's Dogma again on Switch. It's so good.
Yeah.
It is somehow unique in the realm of fantasy RPGs. It's still unique 10 years later, and they're not doing anything about it.
They will do something about it.
I know, but like, just show me.
Just do it now.
Just do it.
Awesome. Well, that brings us to the end of what we've seen so far. I originally wanted to tell Steven, maybe you did. I wanted to name this kind of non E3 E3 so far. Excuse me. Because we haven't had a Nintendo Direct. We started this all off technically with a state of play that focused on third-party announcements. So I am still holding hope that maybe August or September we'll have some sort of state of play to come through, or rather a showcase that talks more about first-party games. But I would think Nintendo would do something sooner rather than later, but I could be wrong. I don't know what they really have to show right now. So anyway, just kind of a weird way to get through this season, where normally we have a lot of announcements. I'll say this: it was better than I thought it would be, especially with no central E3 to kind of bounce around or bounce off of. But anyway, that does it for tonight's podcast. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Any final thoughts, Steven? You clicked your tongue there. You went like you had something else you wanted to say. You just did it again.
I have a lot of things that I want to say, but no one will listen because, like, just the amount of disrespect. like, don't even mention your stupid video showcase. Sure, I care about how Dragon's Dogma got made, but you know we're waiting. You have to know.
This has been Chortlecast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. This show goes live on YouTube It's totalgames.com. Every Monday, normally around 8:30, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. We hang out live. You can join in the chat, all that jazz. If that's not your style, you can listen to us later. Obviously, watch it back on YouTube, again, totalgames.com, or your favorite podcast subscription service, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whichever you like. It's going somewhere. Of course, this isn't the only thing we do on the channel. We also do live streams throughout the week. We react to these big showcases when we can. But I think we're going to be back to normal for the most part this week.
Yeah.
So expect a live stream Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. Steven, I'm pretty much available for all the above. So let me know. Probably in an ideal world, do one with you, me, and Jeremy, and then maybe one of you and me, or I could do something solo Friday. But we'll talk about it. So lots of games we want to play and need to play and get prepped for all these new announcements. So
I'm telling you, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, things are going to get.
Oh yeah,
things are going to get lit.
We're going to be back into review season again all over.
Because we're going to have 2 weeks from tomorrow. Fire Emblem Warriors comes out. Which real quick rant. Did you get my text about where that demo has gone?
No, I don't think so.
You remember how I said, "Oh, it seems like it's just going to be 3 houses, but
with a new character,
but warriors."
Yeah.
By the time you finish the prologue, the time skip has happened.
You mentioned that, yeah. I didn't really know exactly what it's been a minute since I played that game, so
That means that I am at what was probably over halfway through 3 houses. But the story is completely different. It's an alternate timeline.
It always is with these warrior games.
Which I'm interested, but like I have no idea where the hell this is going. Which I'm kind of here for it, but it seems like they removed the ability to recruit students.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, but anyway, that's coming. Then we got Outriders, World Slayer. Comes out the 30th, but if you pre-order, this is for everybody. Jake, this is especially for you. If you pre-order, you get 48-hour early access.
Oh, there you go.
So,
all right.
And then Sunbreak also comes out June 30th.
And then Stray is coming out in July. It's just about to get crazy. Get crazy.
It is.
But anyway, yeah. So tune in Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then of course we'll be back with another podcast next Monday. So probably I would like to think that we'll be back to more of our random tier lists and things like that. It's just been an exciting time. Careful, Steven. Don't show the feet. They got to pay for that. There you go. Thank you. Sweet Minnie. She's so concerned for you. She's like, he was stressed about something.
Dad, did Capcom bully you again?
Again. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight, folks. Like I said, we'll see you in the streams later this week. Otherwise, catch you later. Bye.
Bye.